Trophy that will be given to the winners of this competition in May won't be the original. There have actually been 3 trophies used before this one. One of them has some significance to Manchester.
The 1904 FA Cup is so significant because it's the point where football suddenly matters to Manchester. People were aware of City and United playing in East Manchester, but they saw it, you know, it's an activity for working class men. And rugby was perceived as a sport that would build you into being a decent human being. But that 1904 success made football matter to everybody in Manchester. Suddenly Manchester was a football city. In 1894, Manchester City get accepted into Football League as Manchester City. The biggest name in that team was a guy called Billy Meredith, who was a Welsh international. Meredith was loved in Wales. He arrived at City in October 1894. He always used to play with a toothpick in his mouth, and so he was a character, and you know, people talk about him, and he was loved, absolutely loved. These players were really turned into our first poster boys, our first heroes. You know, people would collect cigarette cards with their faces on. So people had been saving to get down to the cup final. And in the end, 40,000 people travelled from Lancashire, which was viewed as the largest excursion of northerners ever. City played Bolton Wanderers in the final, and the cup final was held at the Crystal Palace ground. The game was quite tight, but City were on top for most of the game. It could have gone either way, really. And Billy Meredith, the great City captain, was the guy who scored the goal. And then, of course, Meredith lifted the cup. There was 3 carriages, horse and cart, if you like. They were owned by a guy called Albert Alexander, and so he led the homecoming. Next to him would have been Billy Meredith with the cup, and then packed in the back would have been all the other players. And obviously everybody wanted to see Meredith and the players and the cup. This trophy is so significant to City, but not just to City, to Manchester. Way back before any of us were born, this club won that trophy, which was the major tournament at the time, and did it before most of our major rivals. This is the centre of football for me. This is a major footballing city, and that started in 1904 and has continued right the way through to modern day, where we have 2 major clubs competing at the highest level, and we've got the National Football Museum, so it has to be it.
Welcome then to Football Focus does the Antiques Roadshow. No Fiona Bruce, the weather's a bit rubbish, but we do have Adam Partridge from many BBC Antiques programmes. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we've seen this trophy won by Manchester City back in 1904. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, this is actually a replica of the original 1872 trophy. And when Aston Villa won it in 1895, they were so happy about it, they decided to put it in a shop window for all their fans to see.
So
what happened next? It got nicked. Exactly. It got nicked and apparently melted down, so Villa were fined £25 to make a replica of that trophy, and this was the one that came in 1896 and was competed for until 1910.
And in terms of the local connection to where we are now, we know City won it, Manchester United also won it.
Yeah.
And
there's 2 winners from Bury on there.
Fantastic.
2 wins.
Which is why it's great that it's going to be available to see once it reopens in the National Football Museum. I'm sure you know these 2, who also have connections to the current trophy. Danny, tell us a bit about what you know about the FA Cup.
Yeah, well, we would have had the FA Cup at our house during the cup run that we had at Lincoln. Yeah, we had the cup competition, and that's probably why there was an entourage of people protecting it on that day. Not the fact I lived in a bit of a dodgy area, but I think probably my story's paling into insignificance when you talk to Mark.
Yeah, I don't know whether you want to tell your FA Cup story, Mr. Lawrenson.
Well, when we won it